Diving down now into the politics of Donald Trump's recent statements about Muslims and his rivals, as well as the changing concerns facing Americans in 2016. I'm joined now by Allyn Root, the conservative commentator, best-selling author. He's been described as the capitalist evangelist. He was the Libertarian Party's vice presidential nominee in 2008. What do you make of the Paris Accords on climate change?
Hi, Larry. First of all, a big hello. Great to be back on the show again.
Yeah, good to see you.
And as far as climate change, I feel the same way about climate change and the Paris Accords as I do about Obamacare. You can't trust the politicians. They're all liars. Not a single thing that Obama said about Obamacare was true or came true. If you like your doctor, you couldn't keep it. And I don't believe anything that comes out of Paris will be anything more than another grab of my wallet and my money. And the economy's already in a dangerous place, and I think it's bad for business.
You don't deny climate change, do you?
Well, I agree that climate changes. It changes all the time, and it's changed since the beginning of time. I have no idea if man causes it, and if man does, it doesn't matter, because no matter what we do in America, China and India will continue to belch pollution. It won't make any difference, but our people will be starving and will have no jobs. We cannot afford to do what the climate change extremists want us to do, which is get rid of coal, get rid of all energy that actually is cheap and works, or Americans are going to have electric bills, Larry, that will wipe the middle class out and leave us as a third world country in poverty.
Other areas, Ted Cruz looks like he's ahead of Trump in Iowa. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, I woke up yesterday and I saw not only was Cruz ahead in Iowa in one poll, and that was the news on NBC National News last night, but that in a national poll, Ted was only about 5 or 6 behind Trump. But then I woke up this morning and I saw, according to Real Clear Politics, average of about 10 polls, Donald Trump was still 1 point ahead in Iowa. And nationally, Trump was ahead of Cruz 41 to, I think it was 14. So it depends what poll you're looking at. I think Donald's doing just fine. He hasn't spent a dime yet. The minute he decides to spend some serious money other than jet fuel, I think Donald will pull away and win this thing.
He is your candidate, Wayne?
He is. I've openly endorsed Donald Trump. I like him. I think he's what America needs right now. I really do. And unlike the Karl Roves of the world, who will try and make the argument that he's not electable, I disagree completely. I believe he's a hero of working class people, both white and black, in America, and I think he'll bring out working class voters like never before for a Republican candidate. I think you'll be shocked at the amount of working class voters that come out in places like New York and Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania, and that would give Donald Trump a very, very good, solid electoral path to the presidency.
No one believes everything everyone says. What areas do you disagree with Trump?
Well, certainly I've heard his views on eminent domain. I disagree on those. I'm always erring on the side of the citizen, not the government. So I don't think government knows best what house they should grab or what apartment building or office building they should grab for the good of society. Generally, they grab it and then they hand it to some rich developer who promises them bigger campaign contributions. So I certainly don't agree with Donald on everything, but that's a minor issue. What matters for America now are taxes, regulations, repealing Obamacare, and I think protecting and saving America from terrorism and Israel from disaster. And I think on all those issues, Donald and I are of like minds.
Well, does it bother you when he calls Cruz a little bit of a maniac?
You know, I wouldn't always do things the way Donald does. There's no question that, you know, I share some things with Donald. We both have kind of big personalities, and we both have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. And we get excited and we say things that maybe offend people, but I try to never personalize it. So I would have never brought up the word Muslim and who I'm letting into the country. I wouldn't have brought up Hispanics and who's coming over the border. I wouldn't bring up Ted Cruz is a maniac or Ben Carson compared to a child molester. No, those aren't my ways of attacking back, but there's no question he has a talent for getting headlines, getting people engaged, and getting himself at the center of everyone's Thanksgiving and Christmas conversation. And that talent has served him well his whole life, you know?
How do you react to Trump's statements yesterday about Hillary Clinton being responsible for ISIS?
Well, I would say that she bears some responsibility. I think Obama bears some responsibility. Most importantly, Hillary was Secretary of State, Larry.
Does the Iraq War bear some responsibility for the rise of ISIS?
I think that the problem is that Hillary was Secretary of State when everything went wrong in the world, And so I agree with Donald that Hillary deserves tremendous blame for the Arab Spring. So does Obama, by the way, for supporting the Arab Spring, for not ever attempting to criticize the Arab Spring, for letting extremists take over in countries like Libya and Egypt. There is no plan to fight ISIS. I don't want any Syrian refugees. On almost every level of what's going on in the Middle East, the Iran treaty is a disaster. I put a lot of blame on Obama, on John Kerry, and on Hillary. The world is not a better place, Larry, and it's not a safer place because the people that have been trying to protect America, named Hillary, named John Kerry, and named Obama.
And no previous policies of Republicans were at fault.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, I was the Libertarian candidate. I'm not a huge fan of either party. I'm an equal opportunity offender. I can't stand the Republican establishment. I can't stand Karl Rove. I'm not a fan of George W. Bush's getting us into Iraq and, Afghanistan, there was no choice. I think even most liberals agree that at the time, because of 9/11, we hit back against the people that were responsible in Afghanistan. But staying there for as long as we did, I think Bush bears responsibility. It's the longest American war. We spent tremendous amounts of money. The amount of money we spent in Iraq, where I agree with Donald Trump, we should have taken the oil that equaled the money we spent. We had every right to do it. America is sometimes stupid. Our leadership, not the people, but our leadership is pretty stupid. The things they get us into and the fact that they think we could just spend, and they never try and get any of it back. So I would have taken the oil when I was in Iraq. No question about it.
Wayne, Donald says that he might run as an independent. Does that disturb you?
Well, I hope he doesn't, Larry, because I don't think anybody would win if that happens. I think Republicans are the ones that would be responsible for driving him to do it. I don't believe Donald will ever run as an independent if Republicans treat him fairly. If Republicans try and, I don't know any way to say this except screw him and treat him badly and unfairly, I think Donald Trump and now you've heard Ben Carson say they would both leave the Republican Party. And if Donald Trump were to run as a third-party candidate, I believe Donald Trump would come in either first or second to Hillary, and you'd have the Republican Party in dead last, third place. It would probably be the end of the Republican Party. Not a good idea to override the will of the Republican voters, who I think are without a doubt going to elect Donald Trump as the Republican nominee.
Trump has repeatedly slammed Karl Rove. You suggested that you might be Trump's Karl Rove if he's elected. Would you go to work in that White House?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's up to Donald Trump. You know, I can't say whether Donald Trump likes my advice enough to make me Karl Rove or anything else, but I could tell you this much. I hope I've had an effect on not just Donald Trump, but on every candidate. Because, I mean, I'm out there day and night, Larry. I was a businessman, and after I won the Libertarian nomination, I was never in politics one day in my life. My whole life is now politics, and I'm out there day and night as a small businessman with a media microphone trying to tell the country that the economy is wrecked and Obamacare is a disaster and we've got to make drastic changes or America is ruined. There are no jobs, Larry. Those jobs reports you hear are all going to foreigners, and I've got all the statistics from the Labor Department proving every single job last month went to foreigners, and they won't classify the difference between an illegal foreigner and a legal foreigner, which probably means the entire United States economy is now dedicated to illegals. My friends who have college degrees are dying out here. It's a disaster, and someone's got to save the middle class, and someone's got to save small business, or our country is going down the tubes.
Wayne, always good seeing you. We'll look to have you back soon.
Thanks, Larry. Don't forget, it's Christmas time. I got a great book out there, The Power of Relentless, and it's not about politics, pure business. The Power of Relentless. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Wayne. Wayne Allyn Root.